Hello, everyone. This is Sheree, founder and editor-in-chief of Curls in the Hood, and we are back with part 2 of You Aren't Ready for Polyamory with your favorite licensed sex therapist, Mrs. Sunflower Jones. Woo woo! I'm gonna do the same thing I did with Lisi. I don't have my mic is gonna muffle out my nails, but that's what we got. Ooh, nail check. Show you.
Come on.
We're team nail
Get
art
into the
in the
Black
Curls in
History
the
Month
Hood
and
family.
Valentine's Day. Get in.
I gave my lady mid-century modern art, Miss Lady. She is the magical nail witch of to the stars. I'm not a star yet, but you know, she coming.
We all can be great. We can be good. We all can be great. And that's okay.
Listen. All right. So I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. I know you were a little nervous for part 2. Even though you killed part 1, you have the most viewed video on the Curls in the Hood channel, second to my Barbie video, because you can't compete with Barbie. You can't.
Listen, nobody can.
My Barbie haul has like 1,900 views.
I watch that video all the time. When I need a little dopamine hit, I'm like, Barbie. The Brandy Barbie gets me every time.
We can have a Barbie play date. You can come play with my Barbie.
You're speaking to my soul.
But yes, the people are very interested in this topic. And so I know that in issue 1, you discussed the tap on the hand, please stop. Trying to, inflict this damage and trauma upon your lives. And then with my bullying, my lovely nudging, I asked you to give the people some steps in case they wanted to, take a dip in Lake Minnetonka against your previous advice.
Yes.
And you did.
I didn't want you to think that I didn't want people to try. I just want people to do it in a more informed manner. And sometimes people see things and just want to jump into them or whatever. And I'm like, just take a minute to research and think. That's all I was saying. Because a lot of people ain't built for it.
No, I know they see 2 clips on TikTok. They read 3 article headlines, not the actual article. And now they're coming back to their girlfriend with a peen in one hand and the phone in the other.
Literally. Or they want to go have fun.
We could do this.
Think that it's fun. And it's not always fun. Things are not always fun. And the grass ain't greener, like I said.
So this is tonight's itinerary. We're gonna go back, do a quick overview of understanding polyamory. We're gonna navigate the communication that you called out in your article that's required, jealousy and insecurity, how to establish some boundaries, the community and support once you have taken a lap or 2 in this pond, the impact on traditional relationship norms, any legal or ethical considerations that may have to be considered, and then navigating relationship hierarchies and long-term relationship sustainability. Are you ready to rumble?
Okay, are you ready to rumble? Let's go.
Okay, so for those unfamiliar, for the readers and watchers who may not have participated or read your previous articles or watched our previous chat,
I'm sorry for them.
You provide a brief overview of what polyamory entails and how it differs from other relationship structures.
Okay, so polyamory literally breaks down to polyamory many loves. Many amory loves. That's what just many loves. What unfortunately is the default in most societies, not all societies. Most society is monogamy, right? Which means one love, one partnership, right? That's what it means. Unfortunately, like I said, in most societies, people think that the goal is to be monogamous with one person. That's just the way it is. I always blame Disney. I happen to be a Disney adult, so I feel like I'm in a place I can say this in fairy tales that when you grow up, and also patriarchy, when you grow up, you want one man or one person and then marriage and blah, 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 blah. But we all know that's the work of capitalism plus patriarchy plus cis heteronormativity. There you go. It's too big for even me to say. All of those things, awful things put together, thinks monogamy is the goal. It is not the goal. There are other relationship styles out there. And one of the ones I talk about a lot, and I have a lot of clients that come to me because they want to explore polyamory, which means they want to have many different loves. There's a couple of ways it can look, and also you can invent the way it looks. But That's just a relationship style. And it's just as valid as any other relationship style. It's just, unfortunately, in our lexicon, monogamy seems to be the default.
Well, me, the table shaker, monogamy is so that poor men get women. That is it's so that
You are not
the
wrong.
monogamy exists so that the I don't even know how to word this nicely. It's
Don't.
so that everyone has access to partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Without monogamy, most women, and we see it play out in like, the relationships of like the supremely wealthy, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
women would be a rich man's second or third or fourth,
Absolutely.
or they were a poor man's one and only. And so
Absolutely.
that is just the
That's a brilliant way of thinking about it. And it's
actual
true.
factuals, right? It's like,
Right.
you know, when you live in a capitalist society, you can't separate the capitalism when it soothes your soul. It's
Absolutely. And it's a
tied.
part of relationships. And I think if
Yeah.
people were more honest about that, then it would make more sense. And that's why, to your point, when people, I'm talking about mostly hetero, like this is a mostly hetero conversation, just mostly. And I am queer, so I've seen both, and I am a relationship and sex relationship counselor. So I also see this and research this. So I'm not talking out of my behind here. I just think that if people are more honest about how capitalism affects relationships, I think we'll have a more open conversation, because if you see there's a lot of May December relationships, which means somebody who's older and somebody who's younger, most of the time that what hinges upon that is finances. And that's just the case. That's just the case. Now, I don't see that very much in polyamorous relationships.
Okay, because that's the next question was like, in what are some common misconceptions about polyamory that you often encounter, and how do you address them with your clients?
Well, the one of the biggest misconceptions that I find about polyamory is people think they can go out and fuck other people without telling anybody what they're doing, without any care or concern for your partner or partners. And that is the absolute opposite of what happens. Because if you would like to have more partners, you have more people to, in effect, answer to. You have more people to care about and more people to love. And I don't know about you, but the people that I love care about what I'm doing all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
All the time, all the time. And that's grandma down to auntie, TT, TI, like everybody care about what you're doing and what you got going on. So if you think if you sleeping with somebody, they're not gonna care about who you sleeping with and who you not sleeping with and who you dating or who you gonna play mini golf with or who you over there at Valentine's Day with, just because we just, you know what I'm saying? Like people are gonna care. And that's
Yeah.
a big misconception that, oh, I'm poly, so I could do what I want. It's the opposite. It's actually in a sense more limiting, because you have to process and talk about every single thing that you do with your partners, with your other partners.
Okay, listen. I love talking to you because you always just segue into my next point. Navigated communication. So as you just mentioned, communication is crucial, right? And it's crucial in any relationship. How does
Mm-hmm.
counseling for polyamorous couples differ in terms of communication strategies compared to monogamous couples? Like you mentioned, right? Most people come into polyamorous spaces thinking with an anarchist mindset that they
Mm-hmm.
can do and
Mm-hmm.
lay upon the land how they will.
Mm-hmm.
How does that advice differ?
Well, now that you mention
Or
it, you
does it?
can be poly and be and have a relationship anarchy, but you can have relationship anarchy in any kind of relationship style, which means you can just do what you want whenever you want. However, but this is the caveat: whoever you with can also do what they want whenever they want and not have to answer to it too. So the goose, you see what I'm saying, and the gander, you see what I'm saying. All those things have to work out together. So that's what it is. And there are people who practice relationship anarchy, but you have to be skilled enough to know that that's what you're doing and communicate that as well. So in a sense, you have to communicate everything that you're doing, because somebody's going to call you unethical and you can be like, no, 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 no.
I was about
I
to
said it.
say that. I know we're going
Mm-hmm.
off topic a little bit, but is anarchy ethical? Like, why would, in my mind, right, my small experience on this earth, how ethical is it to want to do anything with it? Like, to, because I think having a human experience, there's not a time, place, or space that somebody that I'm sharing my time and body with, even as a friend, I don't want anarchist friends. I don't want friends
Right.
that think that they can
Yeah.
do and say and
Mm-hmm.
come and go and whatever as they please. How is anarchy even ethical?
I
Poly or
think if
monogamous?
there's I think it's like, I think it has to be equitable, So if we are all together, right, and I'm making like a triangle here, so I'm talking about
Mhm.
maybe a triad. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. It could be a quad. It could be. It doesn't have to be that way. Or how many people is in your polycule, which is another term. I think if everybody's doing what they want, and nobody has to answer to anybody, and everybody's understanding that they're doing what they want, and then
Mhm.
everybody's agreeing that we're not going to process this, and we still do what we want, then it could be a little bit more ethical in that way.
Okay.
But I just don't foresee that working out for very long. And prove me wrong. Come find me on the internet. Come give me the money so you can prove me wrong. That's fine. I just don't see how that could work because humans have emotions, regardless of what you think or what you feel like. I'm a G. I don't need it. Da, da, da. No, 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 no. Everybody has feelings. Somebody's gonna feel a way about what you did at some point, and somebody's going to want to process it with you. And process, I'm using the word process to be a little bit more sophisticated way to discuss or to talk. I'm talking, that's when I say the word process, I mean processing, like you start with an issue and you talk about it. Not like, I'm like, if you did that, I'm not talking to you for the next 4 days. That's
Mhm.
not communication. That's not processing. I'm talking about, I did this thing to you. How do you feel about it? Are we talking about making amends? Are we talking about separating for a while? Let's talk about the feelings that I went on to. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about a
Yeah.
process. That's what I mean.
Okay. What advice do you often give couples who are just starting to explore polyamory in terms of fostering open and honest communication? Like, is there a toolkit essentially of because what
Yeah.
see, I'm a client and I don't even know what to ask my partner. I agreed to polyamory, but now I don't
Mhm.
even know what I should be asking aside
Which
from
happens a
is
lot.
she prettier than
This
me?
happens a lot. Most of the time, one partner will want to try, and the other partner doesn't want to lose the other partner. So they say, yes, let's go on with the get on, and then they get down. And then that's where we run into some conversations because we need to pull back a bit because we need to figure out why. And that's what I always say. Sure, you want to do this, but why do you want to do this? To please, to
Mm,
soothe, to cover up? What are we doing? And that's where the process and therapy comes in, right? So that's a separate thing. But once we figure out all of those things, I try to get them to understand that they need to come up with a document. And it's not very sexy. It's not a sexy thing,
Come
right? Right, right. This is not sexy. We're not talking about 90s R&B videos with like the white sheet flowing and everybody in the bed and it's cute.
you
And
need
we got the,
my
you see what I'm saying? We got the,
man.
ooh, yeah. It's not gonna be that, right? We're gonna be at a table with our pens and our pencils and our erasable markers and our color-coded thoughts and feelings. And we're going to talk about and I wrote this down. What are your boundaries? What are my boundaries? What are our topics to discuss? And what are my hard motherfucking no's? And that's what it is, right? Can you date my homie that I work at the job with that has nice muscles? No, you cannot. Or sure, I don't care because I get to date your work husband too. You see what I'm saying? Or can we date nobody that's in our circle, only nameless people that I have never seen before, but never on Thursday because that's our night we make tacos. You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it has to be that kind of conversation and it has to be open in that respect.
Whew. I'm not built for it. I thought sometimes I think I am, you know, and then I talk to you and I'm like, girl, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
But
Just
I said this before, everybody practices polyamory before they decide monogamy. That's what happens. It's
that
just the
is true.
problem
That's
is
just
that
the dating
people,
process.
right? It's just the dating. Everybody is dating, right? And that's the thing. But people make a decision to be exclusive, which means you are choosing monogamy. That's the thing.
Mm, okay. Moving into jealousy and insecurity. So
Yes.
I made a joke earlier. I'm trying to take myself out of it. Clearly, I'm a right. I made a joke earlier about like, oh, like what questions did you ask other than like, is she prettier than me? Um, how do you
Yes.
guide
Issue for
couples?
me is their
Is
dick
her
bigger than mine? Is
is
their
her
pussy
booty
better than
bigger?
mine? Do
Right.
they do the things that I say I will not do? All of those questions are on the table, and that's okay. And that comes in the process.
And I gotta sit through this, like, oh, she be like, you put it in her butt. And
Yeah, you gotta
that's
say
why I
it
can't reach no
because
further.
you get to say what you get to say what you do too. And they get to ask those questions too. This
True.
is the thing. When people talk about polyamory, and this is where, to me, and this is my professional opinion, it becomes unethical when you do not address all of the emotions. When people say, "Oh, I'm so evolved, I don't get jealous," it's nonsense. Even a baby gets jealous of things. How many times have you seen two babies in a rack and a baby snatches something another baby has?
Mhm.
Jealousy. It's just jealousy, and it's a natural, very simple, common emotion, just like happy, sad, angry, frustrated, elated, joyful. Jealousy is just one of the ones. And it's you have to process it. You just have to process it. You remember you being in school and somebody went to the Scholastic Fair and they got more books than you got?
Right.
You
Sonia
mad
gave
about
me
it.
$10. And I'm like, what I'm gonna do with $10, Sonia?
Right. Okay. They got the smelly erasers. You wanted the smelly erasers too.
Right.
And you jealous about it. It's just that simple. And that means somebody is fucking your partner and you jealous about it. Or they come home and they jump right in the shower with they washing
And you
off.
know what that means.
You see
Listen,
what I'm saying? Or you go give them a hug and you smell another person on them.
you know what? I blame Dizzy. I'm gonna go back to what you said in the beginning of our chat. I blame Dizzy too, because it's funny, but that as you're talking about this, I'm thinking about the ways in which I've engaged in polyamorous situations.
Uh-huh.
I'll say even as recently as last year, right?
Uh-huh.
You know my tea.
I do.
There's, there's a person or two that I'm like, I could never with them. Like,
Mhm.
and we joked about this in the last call. Like, I feel like I don't get enough of his attention to even be in a space to open that up. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't,
Right.
like, I don't feel like I've experienced him in a way
Uh-huh.
that makes me feel secure in opening up those floodgates.
But this is the thing.
Oh,
And this is where it gets interesting. I love that you said that. I don't get to have enough time with him or experience of it, because that's where those conversations and that unfun Google document comes in, which is connected to your Google Calendar. Because if you
Lord.
have multiple partners, you need to pull out your phone and everybody pulls up their laptops with their pen and their pencil and decide, okay, I'm going to see you on February 15th. Okay. And how long are we spending time with each other? And what are we doing? We're going hiking. I'm just saying, I like to hike. I'm just saying, we're going hiking for the next 3 hours. Okay. But my other partner also wants to hike. Can they join us? No, this is
No,
a
no.
situation. I'm just, you see what I'm saying?
I want to be
No, they
poly by
cannot, because
myself.
they
I
want
want
to
to
go
be
hiking
poly.
too. That means you going hiking with me. And also I'm going hiking with them too. But are they allowed to call me when we are hiking? Can they FaceTime when we're hiking together? Yes or no? You see what I'm saying? And then
It's
I'm
very
like, oh, I can't.
specific. But
Oh,
but but
yeah.
the devil's in the details, and I am somebody that loves specificity. I don't know
Yes.
if I pronounced that right.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Because then there's no room for ambiguity, and I'm very like logic
Absolutely.
and reason. That's just how my little tism brain works,
Yes,
So like,
but that's how it has to work in this situation, because if you do not put out every single scenario, you're never going to find them all, because always something's going to crop up. But if you don't put up, for example, my hiking thing, right? Say me and my partner go hiking, but my other partner calls me and they're having a crisis. Can I take that call? Is that going to upset that partner? Is my partner's hard nose in their Google Doc saying, do not talk to no other partners when we are sharing our time together? Just like you said, when you were talking about this one person, right? You don't get enough time with them. So in y'all little document, y'all would have been like, when we are together, it's only us. I don't want to hear about nobody. Our phones are locked away somewhere else. Nothing. Nobody can get in touch with us. And you hope and pray, God forbid nothing happens. But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's
right,
it.
but like my time with you is my time with you.
And that's how you build that like significant, intimate time.
I love this. Okay. So that was a few, those were some techniques. Are there any other techniques or exercises that you can recommend for folks struggling with jealousy in a polyamorous dynamic?
Yeah, talk about it.
Just
You
communicate.
have to talk about
Over
it. You
communicate.
you have to communicate. And over communication is a term that I mean I like, but I think just communicate. You can say, again, if you have to talk about it, right? And I'm gonna say this: if if your partner's on a date with somebody else, or they're having sex with somebody else, and you know they are doing that, because in this, essentially, you should know what your partner is doing, right? Then
Yeah.
you don't need to know if they're getting the stroke or they're receiving, or if they're giving the strokes. I don't know. Maybe that's how y'all get down. Fine, enjoy that.
Right,
Enjoy that.
no,
Maybe that gets you.
but it should be beyond assumption that we
Right.
are
There should be a
having
communication about,
polyamorous.
I'm going to have this amount of time, it's off, come spend this time with them or whatever. And minds will wander. But I just think that the communication should be there. I'm feeling jealous. Last night when you were with this ex-partner, I was jealous. So I put on insecure and I got my life together and I distracted myself. Right. And you can have that process conversation. That doesn't mean that they stop doing those things.
No,
That does not
okay.
mean that they are not home having ice cream and eating their feelings, which is right or wrong, when you are out with your partners. Those things can happen too, but you have to talk about them.
Okay. Okay. Siobhan, this is world life changing. I really feel like these combos are for me. Like this is
That's fine. That's
not for
fine.
people. All right. Establishing boundaries. How do
Uh-huh.
you assist couples in establishing clear and mutually agreed upon boundaries? I'm going to repeat that question in a second, because this also came up in my personal life. It might be I'm in therapy. I'm a sell you a coin.
Okay.
Um, the differences between boundaries and rules, because I see a lot of time where folks be like, this is a hard boundary for me. And I'm like, boundaries are for you, but once you put them on another person, it's a rule. And
Come
so,
on, ding, 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 ding. But you
right?
can have both. You can
Okay.
have both. You can have all of those things. This is the thing. If you tell your partner, my boundary is, you cannot stick your finger in my butt. I don't care how good our sex is. And that is my boundary. Do not do it.
Mhm.
Right. And if they do it, then you are allowed to leave that relationship
Right.
with no ifs, ands, or buts of discussion about it because they stuck that finger in your butt and that is, you are upsetting and you said no. And that is it.
Right.
Right. That's your boundary because you know what you can handle. You told them what they crossed that boundary.
Right.
But the rule could be the same. We are not doing that to each other. It can be treated the same way. And people can cross them just as easily. But that's something that you have set for yourself because you don't like it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you have any examples of common challenges couples face in defining and maintaining boundaries? And how do you address those issues in therapy?
Yes, couples do not stick to boundaries because they don't write them out. And I
Uh,
happen to be a nerd. So this is me, right? I happen to think that there's power in pen and paper. And if for the digital girlies, there's power in putting it in your notes app or whatever
right.
the Android girlies got. I don't know what they got over there, right? But like I'm just saying, there's power in putting words down, right? There just is. So I always tell my couples to start with your hard nose. Start there. Start with absolutely don't bring no strawberries and whipped cream in my bedroom. I don't want to be sticky. I don't want to smell like fruit. Do not do it. Hard no.
I want my coochie turned into a bakery.
Okay.
Sugar
Okay.
above the
Right. So
weight.
I don't care what they do on television. I ain't got
Right,
nothing to do
listen,
with
leave
it.
that
Get
on
them at, they
TV.
get
You
down.
got a pH balance to maintain.
Come on. You know what I'm saying? Do not do it. And that's a hard no. Hard no. You see what I'm saying? And that's that. And then I tell everybody 5 hard no's. I don't care if you only find 3, find 5. Find 5. And then from there, talk about them and then build out from there. And be like, well, I don't really know how I feel about you having sex with one of your other partners and then coming home and sex with me.
Mm,
Okay, then that's a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not saying do not do that. You're saying I don't know how I feel about that. And then like this, and then I'll ask them to in the session, I'll ask them to go through that scenario. So you were out with your partner for 6 hours, you come home and shower. Can we then have sex after the 3rd hour?
that
I
is
don't
so
know.
specific.
Right. Does
But
that because at some
without it,
point, maybe right? Or do you have to have a shower? Oh, I like to smell other people on you. Come right home and have sex with me then. That could be something.
I'm like, hard no. No, no, like,
You see what I'm saying?
not in this African American
Absolutely.
household.
Absolutely. Or do you come right home? Do you have to wash clothes? Or can you be out with a partner and then come meet me right after you seeing them? What about kissing? Can you kiss other partners? Can you do you see what I'm saying? There's so many different things. So you have to start, in my opinion, with the hard nose and then sort of work your way. There's a million different checklists. There's something called the sexual interest checklist. You can just Google, I didn't invent it. It's on the internet. So you can go through there and you can kind of start with with some of the things that you like. It's on a Likert scale. So it starts with 1 and then goes to 5 and you can play around with that. And that's a tool you can use your partner. And then you can kind of be like I said, for example, do not put your tongue in, don't put your finger on my butt. Maybe that's a hard no. Or maybe it's a toy, right? But no fingers. I don't know. Like, what
Right.
are they?
Whatever yeah. If you said no, you said no. Okay. I'm learning so much. I thought I learned a lot the first call, but it's good thing. All right. Community and support.
Mhm.
How do you encourage couples to connect with like-minded communities, and what role can community support play in the success of polyamorous relationships?
Okay, this is the thing with community and support. I think that couples should establish what their boundaries are around seeking others' advice, support, and communities that are not learned people.
Mm,
They need to take a break from that and take not a break, maybe a pause from that and really stay firm in what they are doing because not everybody is as open-minded, evolved,
mm,
can hear it. People project You know what I'm saying? How many
Whatever
times you
like
say, I
traumas
don't
or
want to
things
eat you?
happen to them.
I don't eat meat no more. People are like, can't be me. I need my lemon pepper wet. People project on people all the time. So imagine if you come and be like, now I have 4 partners of different genders, and you want to tell your friends in your group chat. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that people are going to have feelings, thoughts, and ideas about what you do, and especially around couples and relationship styles. So I always say, get your foundation together first for you and your partners before you talk
You
about
get
it to
water
other.
with
Yeah,
other
because
folks'
it
opinions.
because other people's opinions affect us, that our brains are just like that. We make new wrinkles every day. You know what I'm saying? And I would hate for you to not have a foundation in whatever your poly experience is and somebody else's influence. And that goes for people who are connecting to other people who are poly, because their poly is different than your poly.
Yeah.
And you start to think that your poly is wrong and their poly is right, and that may not be right for you and your partner. So I just say, get your foundation together so that you understand what you all are doing before you tell other folks, right? Like, get your house in order first. I'm using this pejorative.
Yeah.
Get your house in order before you open the doors to other folks that come in.
And I think that that's just sound and sage advice in general. I think
Mm-hmm.
about my last relationship when I was engaged, and I used to tell my ex all the time, like, we're building this house. Like, okay, this house doesn't look like your friends' houses, but
Uh-huh.
I don't think that the folks in your circle understood that they had the opportunity to build their house too. They didn't have
Yeah,
to come
absolutely.
off the lot, right? And like, and so
Yeah.
because we're making the rules as we go, and it doesn't look like everybody else's jam, now you're
Mhm.
second guessing it because they don't understand that we're
Absolutely.
doing whatever we want to do, right?
Absolutely.
And it's working for us. And so, you start letting those voices creep in, and then you lose a baddie. Hey.
And and that's that on that. But I think that's true. And think about that. Like, you just don't know what other people's motives. And I'm not assuming people have bad motives. What if they have a good motive? Think I'm saving you, or I'm trying to prevent this from happening. What if you don't need it? You might not need it. You just have to keep your foundation a little bit and try to work on the solidifying your foundation before you hear other voices. And that goes for, even if, again, a poly community, or poly this, or poly that. I I always say, go to the professional who's researched it. It doesn't have to be me. I'm not trying to get clients. Trust me, I have enough, child. I'm good over here. I'm good. I'm just saying, just go to the professionals. And if you want to go to a book, go to a book, but realize you just work on your foundation.
Okay. Do you think that there's a cultural shift towards greater acceptance of polyamory? And if so, what factors are contributing to this shift?
Yes, I think there is a cultural shift. I think social media has done a great job in just putting the words into the lexicon, similar to the Me Too movement. Like, we knew sexual harassment is bad, right? I mean, anybody can be like, is this good or bad? No, this is bad. But there's something about putting it on social media and having it be so intimate in people's brains and saying it over and over again that has helped shape our lexicon around that. And I think that's similar in the same way, excuse me, in similar in a way for polyamory, that yes, that people hear about it, people hear poly more, and also, they're hearing a lot of younger people say that. And I'm not trying to be ageist in this way. I'm just saying that that the new ones, the youngins, the churn, they are shaping our culture. And I think that's what happens. And if they are doing, I'm like, what them young folks doing? And everybody hears about that. And I think that's what's happening. They hear about it. And now the children talk about everything on the internet.
Mm.
They don't let nothing. The dirty laundry is all out there. And I'm not calling poly dirty. I'm just saying everybody's laundry is out on the internet.
Right.
But that means there are also wonderful resources and stories on the internet that people can look for. Not need to pull from, but you can look and you can
Right.
watch. You can be like, oh, okay, that's a cute. I ain't never heard about that. What's this about?
Right. Because we're not confined to whether or not mainstream picks it up. The
Right.
stories are being told, whether you like them, dislike them, they're
Absolutely.
impactful, what have you. Yeah, to your point. It's
Absolutely.
there. Your community is there if you really want.
Absolutely. It's so, and that's the beauty of the internet. And I think it's so niche. And if you want to type that into whatever app you want to and hear people's stories, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between, you can. And I think once you look for those things will find you. That's just like a law of attraction in that way. And I
Mhm.
think that happens, right? Like, it seems like I remember my mother used to always say, as soon as I buy a black car, I see nothing but black cars. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, obviously there is out
The
there.
black
And
woman.
there's
Right.
nothing new under the sun. So it's been there, but once you put that energy out to the universe, it'll attract you. And I think that's true for poly. And everybody is kind of talking about it. It's just one of those things.
Hey, we're going to move into legal and ethical considerations. what advice, if any, do you provide to clients regarding any legal documentation, rights, and potential challenges in non-traditional relationship structures? Does this come up where like couples want to make like a contract with each other
Mm-hmm.
about what will and can't do and what is, because I know like you can't put illegal things in an NDA, right? Like,
Right.
so
Mhm.
have you ever had situations where folks are like maybe concerned about the anonymity of what they are participating in and want to like lock their partner, in a legally
Not
binding
really
document?
that. It's more so if they are if they're marriages, because marriage is a legal
Mm,
contract, that happens because obviously you can't marry more than one person,
right.
right? So that happens, but then people do spiritual marriages and that sort of works their way around that. I've seen a lot of that. When marriages dissolve, obviously, because of divorce, which is dissolving a legal contract, that happens. In legality, there's a conversation around consent and non-consent, right? I'm giving consent
Mm,
to not consent. And there's a conversation about if that's ethical or not. That's not for me to say. That's for the person who's engaging in that to say. So there can be some legality around what that looks like for that person or those people in that polycule. Not to say they would sign a contract around that, but I can see people can have some protections around that. Um, as long as people are of age and give consent,
yeah.
I think everything is on the table, right? Because I think that's just what it is. But your boundaries are your boundaries, and they should be explicit around that. But consent and of age.
Okay. Are there relationship hierarchies in polyamorous
Yes,
couples?
absolutely. There's terms. There's terms. Yes.
Okay, so then what are they? What are some of them, if
Mm-hmm.
have some off the top of your
Mm-hmm.
head? And how do you
Mm-hmm.
guide couples in navigating and communicating within those hierarchical frameworks?
So it depends on what you consider to be hierarchical because it doesn't necessarily have to be first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Like it doesn't have to be that. So in some polycules, right, there is a primary couple, right? Doesn't have to be a couple. It could be a primary throuple or a quad, right? And those are the four people. And those four people all had people, right? So that could be that. There's something called a nesting partner or partners where they nest, which literally means they have a house together and they live together. And some people think that is a hierarchical thing. That's like primary
Because there's a
because
primary.
where
Mhm.
you live is where you lay your head, right? Like, so that's, you spend a lot of time there. That could be that. Or you could just have a primary couple. But there's a lot of conversation in the poly community about having non-hierarchical polyamory, meaning not one partner is more important than the other partner. So for example, if something were to happen, all your partners should be able to come find you in a hospital. Not one partner should have only access to you. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, that actually helped me a lot because I'm like, you know where my brain stops working around poly
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I'm somebody that thinks that single people are your default setting is anarchy or as a single person.
Uh-huh.
Like, and
Uh-huh.
that's just me. That's me. I guess speaking from a personal like way I live my life.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, do I even need to have a polyamorous conversation outside of being in a relationship? Because if I'm single, I'm single. And
Yes.
so there almost has to be in my brain, there has to be a hierarchy because there is no polyamorous relationship if I'm not in a relationship. Because if I'm single, I'm single and I'm doing what I want.
Yes, but people will naturally assume that if you are dating and you're spending a lot of time with them, they will assume that if I'm spending all my time with them, they spend all their time with me. And that's the assumption. That doesn't mean that the other times that they are not with you, that you are spending the time with other folks.
Oh, okay.
Right? You're
Okay.
like, well, I spent all week with her. I was all weekend with her, and her phone didn't ring not one time. So that
Right.
means it's just me and this person. Who say?
Who said that? I'm like, wait, well,
Freedom.
Portia Williams first.
You see what I'm saying? Who said it? Exactly. But, and that's where communication comes in because to be explicit, and you should be explicit even in your singlehood. People should be explicit. But just so you know, we are not monogamous. One, I'm not monogamous at the moment. Right now, I'm just dating. Right, there's a different language, or I'm seeing other people, which is language that people say all the time.
Okay, because yeah, I'm like, I get the whole, me and my partner, you know,
Mm-hmm.
are like, oh, right, we want to explore this and open this up. We're the primary couple or we're a
Mm-hmm.
couple. And, whether we decide to like couple with other folks
Mm-hmm.
is
But you
different.
can be a solo polyamorous person, which means you don't have just one partner, or you don't have as many partners, you are open to as many partners as you want.
And my
And
brain
it's,
is just dating. Like, is
yeah,
that,
but that partner could be long term.
oh, okay. Okay. I guess.
It can be just a long-term thing, but also your solo partner could be two people. You could be dating those two people who are in a relationship, and you are also in a relationship with them, or these other five people, or this other person you are also dating. And you know what I'm saying? It can kind of look like,
You
it
know,
could look like a strike.
I'm a visual learner, but the problem I'm having right now is that my brain is going to those 90s AIDS commercials where they're like, Sarah slept with John, and John and Sarah.
Yes,
And by the end of it,
absolutely.
you
But
have
that's what
like,
it is. And that's literally what it is. Yeah.
you know, it's like, and now I'm like, oh, okay.
But again, but they were trying to teach us safety. But I think
Right.
it still can teach us safety and consent. It could still teach us that. Be like, do you know that I'm sleeping with this person, or I'm dating this person? This other person is also dating 4 other people. They're also married to this person, and then that person is also married to 5 other people, and they're dating other. But I think that's important to have a conversation, and that's why I came. Let's wrap it on up. That's why communication is important. We need
Right.
to know what we're doing.
As Lisi, aka Brooklyn Bookworm, was saying, the wraparound, bring it on back.
Come on, right? And I think that's important, because I'm going to bring this in, because we're talking about this. I'm just going to say, and that's why safety is important. And when I say safe, I'm talking about medically safe. And
Mhm.
everybody needs to know that if you are in a partnership with me, what is our safety protocol in regards to sexual health? I have to bring, I'm a sexual educator. I gotta be honest about that. What does that mean? Are we fluid bonded? Not, you see what I'm saying? We got another time. That face. Fluid bonded means that we're not using any kind of barriers, and our fluids are now bonded. Now, does that mean that you are also fluid bonded with another partner? So that means, in a sense, we are all fluid bonded with each other. But did we get our workup panels? Have you been down to the diagnostics and got ourselves together?
And I was,
And then we got to have a Google Doc to share all of those informations and upload those information, so we can all see that and prove that we are all safe. Or are we fluid bonded, but you are not allowed to fluid bond with no other partners? So you must use barriers with all of your other partners. And do I trust that you are doing that?
no. Okay. Because fluid bonded is going to be my word of the week. And you know how people like don't like the word moist? Like there are people who like
Yes,
don't like the word
yes,
moist.
I happen to like the word moist. I mean, I don't know.
I think I feel that way about fluid bonded because
Your face when I said that, it was like a fish eye. You were like, ooh.
because the word fluid made it real.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? And so
Absolutely.
now
It's
like,
real. Yes. If
you know,
you and I are partners, and you have 4 partners and I have 3, and we are fluid bonded, are you also fluid bonded with those 3 folks? And what about mine?
I just see garbage truck juice. Like fluid bonded, I just see that like when the garbage truck drives by and that mystery liquid is like droplets in the street.
But this
And I'm
is why we need Google Docs. We have to upload our panels and our diagnostics to the Google Doc, because we need to have a conversation. And that's why communication is key and trust is key.
and these people be lying. Like I'm on TikTok and I know the girls be making up fake pay stubs and job whatever to get
Not the
apartments.
fake blood panels.
I know they gonna have fake blood panels. They be like, oh, I really want to hunch him. He's 6'4". You know what I mean? Let me do a little Photoshop scanneroozy, put it in CapCut or do whatever. And next thing I know,
Not the Canva made up panel.
you know, now the girls are itching and scratching. My clear skin is no longer so clear. I
Is
look
what I'm
like
saying. And then
old girl
and
from
those are
Holiday Park
conversations.
with the
And
bike.
there you are. And maybe that could be your hard no in your boundary documentation that says, I will not fluid bond with nobody. Everybody must use boundaries and around me.
And you can't trust that people are not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna fluid bond because good stuff happens with the fluids.
Yes,
Fluids are
it
present when
could
the
be.
pop comes
Good
out.
things can also happen with barriers. And maybe that's just your boundary. That when you come over here over this way to touch these parts,
You gotta get
barriers
covered in
will
the
be
tub
used.
because
The
Sheree
blue
said that if you
parts,
come home
you could.
and you
I
fluid
mean,
bonded,
sure.
that's your ass.
These are the things that could happen. I'm just saying, these are the conversations that need to be had. Look,
You know, because I thought I was grown. You know, this is one of those conversations where you like, I'm grown, I could talk about this. And now
yeah. Yes, people don't think about those things. But this is the thing I will say. these conversations need to happen regardless of relationship style you are in, whether monogamous, whether you are in a polyamorous, or whether you're in an unethical monogamous relationship or unethical polyamorous relationship. They need to be happening because people are out here doing what they want to do and putting people in danger because of the fluid bondedness,
Mhm.
right? And you
Yeah.
need to have those conversations. So I always say, stay safe and make consent. And safe always, always, always means sexual health, safety. Always, always, always.
Yeah, you know, the health is all we have in this
Mm-hmm.
capital society. You don't own your home. You don't. Your job
Right.
ain't real. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like all of these things can be taken from you. Sit on your
Mm-hmm.
health. Your health is the one thing that you should
Yes,
pedestalize, right? Like stay on the throne
absolutely.
of knowing that you are not itching and scratching, and that when we say fluid bond, that you're not the garbage truck juice that Sheree envisions.
Yes, you don't want your garbage truck juice to mesh with anybody else's garbage truck juices and keep those juices separate until you make a decision and everybody goes.
I am forever changed.
I mean, I'm not even going to talk about when people go to play parties. We're not even going to talk about what that happens. So, like, that's a different conversation for a different day. But I just wanted to tease you behind with a feather there.
All right. I think that's gonna be April. Because just to go off on a tangent. So Sunflower Jones's article for March is like aging and sexuality, because our theme is beauty beyond youth for Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really like an issue dedicated to the late bloomers, to the folks that are now no longer seeing themselves in media. You know, millennials, we're aging out of being marketed to. And so how does that
Mm-hmm.
impact how we see ourselves, how we relate to our sexuality? Our bodies are changing. Some of us are perimenopausal, some of us are already there. The men
Mm-hmm.
we're dealing with, they things that, you know,
Yeah, that happens to everybody.
it's
Absolutely.
happening to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think for April though, April's a little chaotic. Like the theme for April is chaos, right? So
Listen,
sometimes,
listen.
and so we can
Once upon a
definitely
time,
revisit
you've
this
always said that I bring a lot of things to the table, and two of those things are coochie and chaos. And I will talk about those things.
forever and ever, amen.
Yes.
so, so, okay, this is the last question I have in relationship to polyamory, and this is
Mhm,
about long-term relationship sustainability. So
mhm,
obviously, just based on the things we already discussed, polyamorous relationships have some unique challenges, and may face some unique challenges over time. How do
mhm.
you work with couples to ensure long-term sustainability and the health of their relationships within the polyamorous framework? And do you even have success stories of
You
long-term?
can't work on that. If it happens, it happens. It's all luck, a hope, and a prayer, because you're dealing with other humans.
Right. And the more humans, the more random it gets.
Yes. Yes. You can be with somebody for however long and be like, you see somebody else because they time for it smell better. And you walking and be like, what's that over there? And now you looking over here. And that's what it is. And it ain't got nothing to do with love and care and consideration or your Google Docs. Your head could just be turned. And that's just what it is. And you have to just be open and honest about it. But that's where it comes in. It's not easy to do it. And that's the problem because we have been told that you keep this default of monogamy no matter what, opposed to
Mhm.
talking about it. And that's the hard conversations and confrontation. And when I say confrontation, I don't mean like I don't like down Betty at the job because she took my cup of noodles last week. I'm not talking about that kind of confrontation. I'm talking about just confronting your own feelings within yourself and then I guess voicing them to your partner or partners. So there's no guarantee for longevity. And I will never say that because it may not work for you. It may work for a bit.
I was gonna say that because I feel like in my brain, you know, I've been conditioned. Like, what does that brother say? My conditioning has been conditioned,
Yes.
right? And so I feel like monogamy still is my go-to. Like, even when I entertain or think about polyamory, it's like the fun thing to do when I'm single. But like,
Mm-hmm.
my man, I don't know that I want to share in
Yeah.
that way. But
Mm-hmm.
also, going back to me thinking that I'm a logical person most of the time, understanding that if you are in a relationship for an extended period of time, and I'm going to say anything over 5 years is long. 5 years
Mm-hmm.
is long, but
Is and
anything,
is.
right? There potentially being an opportunity to flow in and out of these relationship styles, and have a hierarchy where this is the family unit.
Mhm,
These are the
mhm.
things that are combined, right?
Yes.
Um, but you know, if we're 10 years, 15 years in, are we gonna maybe explore this for a little while? And then when it's not fun anymore, we go back to being just us. And then 5 years later, we look back and be like, remember that time we did that? That was crazy.
Maybe remember when I was
Glad
falling
we
out?
survived it.
Right.
Now we have friends.
Pass me the baking soda and the
Right.
Epsom salt,
So
right? Yeah, that could be the case.
you know,
But there's no guarantee in any kind of
exactly.
relationship, so
Right.
because you're dealing with all relationships. So when I say that there's no guarantee for longevity, there's no guarantee for longevity in anything. All good things come to an end, and all bad things come to an end too. It's just the case, maybe, and all things can last for a long time, and some things, there's no guarantee. There's no way to know. The best you can do is try to live as ethically as you can. And if you make mistakes, because child, everybody makes mistakes, do your best to just own up to them and ask the person how they want it to be repaired. Do they want amends? Do they want a diamond ring? Do they want roses? Do they want to not talk to your ass for the next 5 days? Whatever. I don't know, but you have to figure that out. And there's no way to like orchestrate this longevity that people just, I want it to last forever. It may not. It might be a good time while it's a good time. It might be.
Yeah, that is true.
There's
Ooh.
no guarantees in this life. There's no guarantees. And I think that people just do their best to try to, again, to be as ethical as they can and communicate as best as they can and recognize that there's a fault in that, right? Intent versus impact. I think that's really important in all relationships.
Right, right. And too, I think that just like arming yourself with the information before you are in the throes of despair, right?
Yep.
Because I think too many times, we lead with ego and we're like, I got this. It's not that complicated. This person did it.
Mm-hmm.
You going off a feeling and the excitement, and then you run into this brick wall, i.e.
Yeah.
jealousy, or
Uh-huh.
the
Mm-hmm.
partner is not as great a communicator as maybe because we were
Yeah.
communicating about different things, right? Because I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm a great communicator, right? But if I had to sit down and be like, so I
Right.
met Charles Oakley last weekend and I want to be poly with him, right? I'm gonna be that open. I might
Yes. Or
lie a little
if
bit.
your communication, what if your communication style is nonverbal? You communicate best nonverbally, and my communication style is very verbal. Or if my communication is very written and yours is verbal, then what?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
there has to be something. There has to be a way to communicate in a way. And if that's you choosing that to be your partner, what if all the other things are rockets and happiness and sunflowers and great and wonderful, but we can't communicate? Can a relationship exist? That's the question where I'll leave you.
Ooh, woo, 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 woo. Well, tonight was amazing as
Yeah.
usual. You guys can follow up with Sunflower Jones via info@curlsinthehood.com.
Yep. Don't come look for me. I'm not gonna be out there.
No, she's not. She is not. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. The next
Yeah.
episode of Curls in the Hood is out March 2nd. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks.